recording to start. So hold on just a sec. Oh, it looks like it's finally turned on. Sweet. Okay. All right. Hold on just a second. I'm going to share, make sure you guys can see my screen. All right, everybody. Can you see my screen? I wanted to make sure. Let me know in the chat if you can see everything. Hello, folks. Welcome to Wednesday and welcome to week 2 in the IDS 105 course. Oh, good. Perfect. Also, is my sound still coming through loud and clear? I want to make sure that y'all can hear me okay. I will flip my camera on at some point today, but sometimes when I'm running multiple things, it makes the internet energy not an amazing experience for y'all. So I will turn it on here in a little bit, but I wanted to make sure to say hello and welcome. Y'all, welcome to your very probably first webinar specifically for IDS 105 in the term. Did any of y'all come to the pre-term webinar at the beginning of the term? If you did, I love it. The live webinar sessions are always one of my absolute favorite sessions that are here. The cool thing about these webinars is they're already recorded. So our recording has started. So you guys ready to roll? Because I'm ready to go. Okay, first and foremost, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email them at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. Okay, I'm going to pause real quick because I see some folks in the chat say that they can't hear. Is that accurate? For some of you, you might need to actually turn up the volume or enable permissions for sound on Microsoft Teams. So if somebody wants to pop that in the chat for me, that would be wonderful, because you want to make sure that those are on. Perfect. The rest can hear me? Okay, wonderful. So a couple of academic reminders, or webinar reminders really, that this is an academic space. So students, I need to remind you that anytime you're in SNHU Connect, anytime you're in webinar sessions like this for any department at the university, anytime you're on our first year experience YouTube pages, classroom spaces, and Brightspace, university email, all of those are considered academic spaces. So always be mindful of your conduct and your comments. I say that because a real human reads them, and I think sometimes we forget that. So I always tell students to remember, always be mindful of your conduct in all of those spaces. As always, we should always be amazing humans. These learning community webinars, they are not required, y'all. You do not have to watch these webinars. You do not have to come to them. You don't have to watch the focus videos. However, I'm telling you that students every term say that they are so helpful because they show you how to do your assignments from week to week, or we go over the concepts that you are working on in your class, okay? So a couple of week 2, module 2 reminders. 1, y'all take a big old deep breath. Is anybody feeling like they're kind of getting into a routine? They got through start week. Things seem to be kind of like lining up. They're getting in that schedule a little bit, right? For some of you, you might feel like, no, I do not have a routine. I'm not put together yet. And it's okay. And others of you might be somewhere in the middle. But what I always like to tell you is you will figure it out. You will get used to where to click and how to find things and how to reach out to resources. The beginning can feel like a lot, but I'm telling you, it's still 100% worth it. So this is your reminder to always make sure that you are checking that university email, your SNHU email. That is how the university communicates with you. So it's so important to always make sure you're checking that. Also, in your classroom space, are y'all reading those course announcements? If you are not, you need to make sure that you are reviewing those course announcements because your faculty spend a lot of time putting helpful tips, reminders, breaking down concepts in different ways that might just help you really understand the content and the concepts that you're talking about, okay? The other piece is most often students are nervous or hesitant to reach out to their instructors. Y'all, let me tell you this right now. Your faculty want you to be successful. We want you to do well and pass your courses, okay? We have a job because you're here, right? So without students, there'd be no faculty. Please, if you are stuck, if you have questions, if you're not sure on something, reach out directly to your instructor. I always tell students, start with your instructor first. They're the ones that can see if you turned an assignment in. They're the ones that can tell you like why you got graded, how you got graded, okay? Just reach out to them with questions if you're not sure on something, because they will be able to give you the information that you need, okay? If you're not sure where the announcements are, I will show you where that is in your Brightspace environment once we get done today with this slide deck. But when you log into Brightspace, you'll literally see announcements. You click on it and they all pull up, okay? Speaking of grades, I want to put a little reminder out there that your week 1 grades, so from last week, if they're not back yet, do not panic, because your faculty have 7 days to grade. So your week 1 grades will be back at the latest by this Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. East Coast time, okay? Some faculty grade as things come in, some grade throughout the week, some you might not see those grades until late Sunday night. That's just how it is. We have 7 days and your faculty spend a lot of time giving you feedback on what you did well, maybe what you could improve, and resources that might support your success, okay? And I want to remind you too, to make sure that you're checking your grades and checking your faculty feedback. But I know a lot of students are like, I haven't seen my grade yet. It makes me nervous. Just know that it's coming. If anything, auto grades, like a warm up, those are always automatic. But discussions, any kind of journal assignments, project drafts, those are all graded manually. So they take a little bit of time. So no, when you turn those things on by Sunday, your faculty have a whole 7 days. Okay. Everybody sound good on that? Reminder too, right here is a quick screenshot of your classroom space. When you log into Brightspace, right at the top, you see course menu. If you click on announcements, I know there was somebody that said they weren't sure where to find the announcements. If you click on announcements, you will see any announcements that have been posted so far for the term. You can always scroll through them. But if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see grades. You can actually click on grades. And when you do that, it opens up all the assignments for the term. You'll be able to see if something was graded because there's points and a grade. And then there's underneath the comments and assessments area, you can click on to review the feedback from your faculty. It tells you what you did well, resources to use, or what you might need to improve, okay? Also, you guys have a cool handy dandy, like right when you log in, you can see what your current grade is in the class. So don't miss those things. It's really important for you to make sure that you're staying on track with those, okay? Couple of other reminders that I wanted to make sure that I went through with you all is this week you have your very first project draft assignment. We're going to talk heavily about that assignment today. The biggest thing I need you to know is that assignment is due by Sunday or before, as convenient for your schedule, okay? You need to have Microsoft Word or something compatible to be able to do this assignment. There is a template for this assignment, which I will show you. What a template is it's an already put together document that you're going to open up. You're able to type right in it, but you need to pay attention because you're not completing the entire document this week. There's several different pieces you're going to complete in different weeks or modules, okay? But just know you do need to have Microsoft Word or something compatible. And as an SNHU student, you do get Office 365 for free, all right? Now, some of you may know that there's video note options for some of the assignments in your class, but it's really important to note that video note submissions are absolutely not permitted for any pieces or parts of the project drafts or your final project, okay? For your project draft assignment, it's due by Sunday or before, as convenient for your schedule. You're going to be picking one scenario or creating your own, and you're going to use it all term long. So we have a project draft assignment due by Sunday or before, and then you have a warm-up assignment that is due by Sunday or before. Reminder on the warm-up, y'all. Review the content and reading that is actually within your module. Then go through those required resources where it's like textbook chapters to read. There might be some helpful articles or videos for you. Review all of that first, then go take that warm-up. Remember, the warm-up is like an open book quiz. It is not timed. You can take all the time that you need. You can use your notes. You can go back and look up stuff. You can also take it multiple times. So if you take it and you submit it and you didn't do so hot or you want to do better, you can retake it the same way that you did the first time, okay? Does that answer those questions about the warm-up? So week 2, what are our assignments? Quick, pop quiz. What are our assignments? Very good. Warm-up. And then you have that project draft, okay? I'm going to see if I can flip my camera on here real quick, y'all. Hi. Hi, friends. Can everybody see me okay? I'm Melanie, and I realized I did not introduce myself to some of you that may have not been on here yet, but I'm Melanie. I'm your learning community gal. I am the voice or the face that you will see in the learning community webinars or the videos that you watch. So hello, it's lovely to be able to be here with you guys today. So this week's topic in IDS 105 centers completely on social justice, okay? So for many of you, this might be a new concept. This might be something you don't know a lot about or you don't have a lot of experience with, or for some of you, it is very well known and very well understood. So just know that you're not alone on either way of that spectrum or even in the middle, okay? The reason that we are in school is to learn, right? So this week, as you navigate new concepts or new things that you're learning, or you hear from other students on different things that you're not familiar with, actually really for your entire term, just remember to kind of keep an open mind, keep your perspectives open, and just soak up everything that you can. I always love IDS 105 because I believe wholeheartedly that it really makes us think about everybody that we may ever interact with in an online space or even in person. So this week's topic is everything social justice. I wanted to point out one of the big concepts that you need to make sure that you understand is those core principles of social justice. When you find them in your reading, they are these 5 right here. It is that everybody has access to resources, that there is equity, there is equal participation, there is diversity. We have also access to the basic human rights, okay? So if you are not sure about what these core principles mean, or if you're trying to understand them, I always tell students, do some of your own research. If you go through the reading in your module and you go through the required resources and you're still not really sure what these mean, it is totally okay to do some of your own research in a way that connects the concepts to how you can understand them and then explain them, okay? A lot of this week's work is really going to be thinking and reflecting about our own experiences and our own life and then applying it to those questions in the project draft, okay? So think for a minute how your own life experience have shaped your own beliefs and your own behaviors, right? We talk a lot in IDS 105 about values, right? We talk a lot about bias. For some of you, again, those might be new concepts. So if you're not understanding them or you're not sure if you're clear on them, always reach out to your instructor, but also do a little bit of your own homework. Pop it into Google. I always tell students, I even tell my own children, if you don't understand something, take a minute to pause and dig into a little bit, okay? So the other thing I want you guys to think about as you're working through the assignments this week, especially for that first project draft, is your values. Do how you see people who are different from you. Do you see them clearly? Do you have any bias? Think about your own experiences, right? So last week we talked about identities, right? And if you're comfortable, hey everybody, if you're comfortable, I want you to share maybe like one of the identities that you shared with the class, because I think it's so important to reflect and understand on our identities shape who we are today, right? We are the way we are, who we are typically because of the stories or experiences that we have had in our life, right? And I always love to see the identities that y'all share, because for so many of you, you will find common ground with other learners, or you might interact with somebody who you never knew this about them, or you've never experienced something like that in your life. And so I think it's just such a great opportunity to really become a little bit more well-rounded. And I love, you guys are doing such a good job. A pluses, A pluses, A pluses all around. So just a few things to think about as you navigate this week's assignments, okay? So what I wanted to point out, and I will share my screen later of the classroom, but I wanted to put these images in the slide deck. Y'all are going to be picking a scenario, okay? What I wanted to make sure that you understood is when you open up that project draft assignment, when you go through the overview of what it is and the questions, you are going to see at the bottom, right before the rubric, a what to submit. Under that what to submit, it says open the project template. That is kind of in a blue color. You're not going to see these highlights, y'all, but you're going to see a blue text color. Click on the blue. It's going to open up a Microsoft Word template that you can literally just type right in, okay? That is the document that you are going to use all term long. But remember, you're only completing certain sections at a time. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. The other thing I wanted to make sure that you understood is if you see the template and you're like, I feel like I could write this a little bit differently, more essay style, that is fine. You can do that. I always tell students I feel like the template's a little bit easier, but if that works better for you, then just make sure that your writing encompasses all pieces and parts of each part of the project. You answer all the questions, okay? Also, what's really important is underneath supporting materials, you are going to see something that says project scenarios. Again, it's highlighted in that blue. And when you click on it, it's going to open up a document that shares these scenarios. So y'all are picking between 3 scenarios. You only pick one. There's 3 established scenarios, or you can choose to create your own, okay? So what I want to point out is the first scenario is a school scenario. So you will take this scenario, or if you create your own, you will take the scenario, whatever it may be. You want to make sure you understand it. You want to make sure that this is something that you can speak to, answer questions to, or it interests you because you're going to be using it all term long, okay? When you pick your scenario, you want to take your scenario and any of your own life experiences that you have had and any of the course concepts we're learning about and tie them all in together to help you answer the questions. Use examples, use details, and sometimes you might even need to create some details and examples to fully put your thought together, okay? Yes, this webinar is being recorded, so you can go back and watch it later. I'll share those links here when we get done today. So the first scenario is school. So the school scenario is all about you're interacting with a diverse group of peers who come from different cultures, different socioeconomic statuses, different abilities, learning styles, career goals, and more, right? In this scenario, you are a first-year college student. You're overwhelmed with just all the things. Plus you have work, you work too. So you have a lot of assignments, a lot on your plate, and you're just struggling trying to balance everything. So one of your friends recommends, hey, meet with your academic advisor. So you meet with your academic advisor, they're from a different culture from you, and they suggest like, hey, you got a lot going on, let's just leave that part-time job. That doesn't sit right with you because you need that job to be in college and pay for tuition. So taking this scenario, if you're like, hey, I could speak to that, take a look at the project draft questions, take a look at the scenario and see if this is the one you want to pick, okay? So that's the school scenario. I just like to break it down a little bit. The next scenario is a personal scenario. I feel like this one hits really close to home, especially because we have some holidays that come up when y'all are in this class. But it's that time of year when you gather with friends and family. And recent events in the news that impact different cultures have caused difference of opinions relating to social justice, fairness. There's conflict with all your loved ones, okay? You are the person that's hosting that next holiday celebration with your family who have a variety of thoughts and opinions, and lately you are just not agreeing on things. The one person you're really not getting along with is your sister-in-law because you just have very different political views. You just have very different views in general. You've gotten frustrated with each other. It's gotten a little bit out of hand. Things get heated. What do you do? Okay, so we have school, we have personal, workplace. The workplace scenario is all about the organization you're currently working for is going to expand and grow. They're acquiring an international business. You're going to go from 500 employees to 10,000. You're going to have employees in multiple states, countries, different time zones. A new colleague joins your team. They work very differently than you. They have a very different work style. You're very detailed. Your colleague is maybe not as detailed. There's some challenges, some duplicated efforts. You're just not seeing eye to eye. So what do you do and how do you navigate this? Okay, so these are the 3 established scenarios. You would just pick one of them. If you're like, I don't love any of those, you can choose to create your own scenario. What I want to point out, if you choose to create your own scenario, is when you see the template, you're going to see a spot where you list the scenario. You want to put all the details of your created scenario in that spot. You don't have to have it pre-approved before you turn in your Module 2 assignment. However, when your instructor looks at your Module 2 project draft, if they see that your scenario is missing some details or it might not work or they may need to switch it up, they will communicate with you to make sure that we change that. Okay, does that make sense on the scenarios? Also with create your own, I want to give you just kind of some tips for your success. One, if you create your own, you have to have the how, the who, the what, the when, the where, the how. You have to have all the details, y'all. Okay, so make sure you have all the pieces and parts of the scenario. You need to be able to identify key people, individuals, or whoever the groups are that are involved in that create your own scenario. There has to be enough context and detail to really help somebody understand the situation. There has to be a clear problem, challenge, or issue, and you have to speak to the core principles in your scenario, at least 2 of them. Okay, I'm going to pause just real quick. I want to check and make sure I got the questions that are kind of happening in the chat a little bit. But does that make sense so far on kind of what the scenarios are and how to break them down? The biggest thing I tell students is pick the one that you most closely align with, or maybe you've been through it, or you just feel like you can speak to it, or maybe you're like, I want to learn something totally new. Go for that too. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we have all of that. Okay, so again, the helpful documents, remember it's under that what to submit, and then the project scenarios underneath supporting materials. Okay, these are the questions. I'm going to run through these here just really quickly. When you open up that template, you're going to see, I just took a quick snapshot of like part 1 and the top of the template, but you will see chosen scenario. You can delete where this little brackets are that says identify your chosen scenario. You can take that out, and you can put whether it's school, workplace, or personal, but if that's all you have to list. But if you create your own, you need all the pieces, parts, all the information in there. Okay, does that make sense? The questions. So again, with the questions, you are taking the scenario, whether it's an established one or you created your own, and then your own experiences and the concepts we're covering in your course. And then again, sometimes you might have to get creative and embellish or add some details to make it all make sense. Okay, everybody, that's a common question that I get. So you're answering these questions. You will notice that the template, when you pull it up, has different parts, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Okay, you are only answering part 1. Say it with me. You are only answering part 1, and part 1 you turn in this week. They're going to do part 1 this week. Part 2 is week 3. Part 3 is week 4. Part 4 is week 5. So when we get to week 5 and you submit your assignment, you'll have the entire document created, and we'll have a whole webinar all about what to do with it in module 7. But for this week, it is only what? Pop quiz, only part 1. Okay. The biggest thing is if you're using the template, you're going to open up that template, type right in it, and you're going to submit that. So by the time you get to week 5, you have the whole template filled out. If you are creating your own document, it is so important. Actually, either way you go, template or creating your own document. When you get done, everything has to be in one cohesive document. Okay? All right. So what are we talking about for part 1? You are answering these 4 questions. The first question, the topic is about justice, fairness, and equality. So your job is using your scenario and your own experiences. You need to explain the difference between justice, fairness, and equality and how they apply in your scenario. The biggest thing here is you'll see it right in the writing. Include at least one specific example to illustrate their impact. Does that make sense? So things to consider, how you could explain it. In what ways do justice, fairness, and equality lead to different outcomes for the people involved in your scenario? Insert your response. Okay? Again, writing complete sentences, use details, use example. The second section, the topic is about bias. So this question, you want to make sure that you think about your scenario and describe how bias could impact social justice in your scenario and give examples. Things to consider. What types of unconscious or implicit bias might be present as you're looking at your scenario, and how could they shape people's actions, decisions, or access to resources? Does that help kind of break those questions down a little bit? You want to make sure you answer all pieces and parts of each question. Okay. Question 3, different narratives. What is a narrative? Stories we tell ourselves, stories that are out there, right? So explain how different narratives circulating in society, so think about maybe for right now and your scenario, could impact how social justice is perceived in your scenario. So things to consider. What do people usually say or believe about the group or the people in your scenario? How could those beliefs affect how others think or act? Okay, and the last one, remember I talked to you about those core principles of social justice? You need to explain all of the core principles of social justice in your scenario with specific examples. So which principles are most relevant in your example and how are they being supported or ignored? Did that help kind of break that down a little bit? The biggest thing is for this week, I see the questions in the chat. You are only answering part one. You will notice it even says part one, complete this section in module 2. When you see the next part, it's going to say complete this section in module 3. Y'all, you have to turn on the detailed side of our learning capacity. Okay, you have to. You have to pause, take a minute, read all the directions carefully, look over the template carefully. When you turn it in, the whole document's going to go in, but you're only going to have filled out part one, okay, for this week. As you move forward, you're going to have different parts of it get filled out. Does that help? A lot of students ask, like, can I erase these questions and just write my answers? You can. That's totally fine. However, I caution you, make sure that you answer all pieces and parts. A lot of times when students like delete stuff, they end up missing some section of the question or they end up missing one of the questions. If you're choosing to write this more essay style, just go back through your document when you're done and make sure that you've answered each one. You literally can open up that template and type right in it. Okay, did that answer the questions? I see a lot of questions about, do we keep the questions? Do we delete the questions? Did y'all get what my answer is? You can delete them if you want, but make sure you got all pieces and parts, okay? All right, so it's a lot, right? But y'all, once you get the hang of it, you're going to do wonderfully. So you have so much support here. And I want to turn the camera and the microphone over to the absolute fabulous Amy Pearman. Amy, hello, Amy. Amy is one of our amazing... Hello, our amazing training specialist for the academic support team here at SNHU, and she's a faculty member. So fun fact about Amy, she used to be a professional makeup artist for over 20 years. That's always my favorite fact about you. She has also been a student success mentor and a career coach for online students just like you. But I also love her advice. As an online student myself for years, I've learned that asking questions and finding valuable resources are the key to success firsthand. So what we're going to do, y'all, is Amy's going to share with you the amazing academic support, and then we're going to take a little tour of academic support to show you where to click and how to find things. So let me go ahead. Amy, you just tell me when you want me to move slides.
Perfect. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today and listening to all the questions or reading all the questions in the chat. I've kind of curated some resources for you just for IDS. So the question came out about 24/7. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first, where can you find us? So to find us directly, the best and most popular avenue to get to us is through that navigation bar right at the top of Brightspace. You'll see it's boxed in with yellow here on the slide where it says academic support. You just simply click into that and you automatically have an account with SNU. You'll see there is a bunch of different options that we'll look at in just a minute. You can also find us on the My SNU Academics page. So if you go to your My SNU account, you click on Academics, and I believe it's Online Support. You'll see us there. It is Online Academic Support Center. All of our information is there, direct links and direct links to the ARC, which is our static resource database. And then the third place you can find us is in any course, there is an academic support module. And I point this out only to say in that module, there are 3 different areas that you can go to. And the very first link that says get help with your schoolwork is our direct link to our platform. The other 2 are going to take you either to the library and or to the OAC. So you have all 3 of us there in one module. And you can move forward, Melanie. Beautiful. So this next slide basically just talks about the different services that we offer. And so the first, I talked about it, the ARC, the Academic Resource Center, where we actually house all of our resources. We have a very robust YouTube channel, as well as tons, hundreds of articles and tutorials and diagrams and tons of things that will link you to multiple different ways and to learn it essentially, and or if you have a suggestion about something that you're not seeing, you can always ask us there as well. The next is 24/7 drop-in, and I saw the question come through a minute ago that there wasn't an IDS drop-down topic in the menu, and I did respond to that particular student, but for everyone's awareness, you can also look for social sciences, humanities, or general education. You'll get to the same result through those avenues as well in the IDS course. But again, that drop-down menu is who's available at the moment, what subject area they are a SME in or a subject matter expert in. If you don't see something that you are looking for, like design or something kind of niche maybe, always check back, because when that person or if that particular tutor is not on at that time, you won't see it in the drop-down menu. So it doesn't mean they don't have it. It could also mean that they're just not on at that particular time. The next thing is written feedback. This is a drop-off paper service. So this is fantastic for anyone that likes to kind of get a second set of eyes to help them kind of identify maybe where some areas of opportunity are. So when you do submit your paper and written feedback, and we'll show you in just a minute what that looks like, make sure you're being very specific about what you want that tutor to essentially look at. So if it's your transitions or sentence structure, is it your thesis? Is it APA formatting, whatever the case is, make sure you're really specific so they have time to check that particular thing in your paper. The next service that we offer is academic coaching, and this is a free service available to all SNU students. It is literally just like having a sports coach, but throughout your degree program. So this person stays with you, they hold you accountable, they give you behavioral tasks to do to help your journey a little bit easier. They're going to work with you on critical thinking and synthesizing those rubrics into projects if you're having questions about that. They're going to help you with time management, organization of your studying, study skills in general, how to take notes properly, and whatever works for your particular learning style. So this person is somebody you can opt in at any time to have in your corner championing you throughout your entire academic journey. And you decide with that particular coach what that cadence and communication is like. And the last thing, and definitely not least, is our workshops. So group sessions, we have so many throughout the week. I think we're up to about 140 sessions now. So we'll go through that schedule in just a moment, but this is the avenue that you would want to take if you either want to, you don't have time to meet with a tutor maybe, and you just want to see a workshop about APA. You can simply sign up for the workshop. Even if you can't make that day and time, you'll automatically receive the recording in your account on our platform. So no need to, purposefully be there to start. Maybe you want to eventually, but you can absolutely watch that recording. Just sign up anyway. And before we move on to the next thing, go ahead, Melanie. You had a question for me. Yes. So I would love to go through a little visual with you guys. And Melanie, if you want to share your screen, I'm going to share links in the chat. And as you guys were talking today and I was looking at the projects, I kind of pulled a couple of resources just for IDS. So you'll see in the chat, you have direct links to all of the services I'm talking about. And then you'll also see an IDS specific resource and the IDS office hours, which is where I wanted to kind of share with you guys. If you're not finding IDS on the 24/7 tutoring, we do hold an office hours every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And office hours is the place where you can jump in and jump out to ask your question in real time. So it's essentially like an open office hour for IDS specifically. Anything goes. So that is your second go-to, I guess, if you can't find it in the 24/7 immediate help. So when you land on our site, you can see on the screen all of the menu items are up top. And Melanie, if you want to go through each one, that'd be awesome. So 24/7, when you click on it, you're essentially going to be dropped into this area, which is going to ask you what subject you want. The drop-down menu, get as close as possible as we have discussed. And then even more, it'll dial it down even more. Like if you say math, maybe it's asking for statistics. So it's going to dial it down even more and filter it. And then, of course, you can ask a specific question. If you're really looking for something that is you know specifically you're looking for. So the more information, again, the better. And then you hit connect now. Within a minute or two, you're connected with somebody. This is a chat feature, just so everybody knows. There is no audio. You can request an audio call, but for the most part, this is a chat feature, and you can share a link to your paper if you want them to look at it and that sort of thing. And then the next service is scheduled support. So this is where you'll find an academic coach. If you go down to academic coach, there you go. And on the right-hand side, you get two options when you first go in. It's going to ask you if you're struggling with content, then we're going to direct you to a workshop. But if you're struggling in general, study skills, time management, all the things we discussed earlier, then you want to click that right button, that big right kind of description, yep, and hit continue. And that's going to take you right to the booking page for our academic coaches. You'll see 6 goals there. Doesn't mean you have to choose one. It's the end all be all. Literally, this is just a guideline so our coaches know what you're interested in kind of using as your first goal. And then you choose your coach according to time and day and all that jazz. So a really great interactive opportunity to have someone in your corner. Even if you just want emails once a month to kind of keep you up to date of all the things and hold you accountable. Great option. The next option up there in the navigation bar is our written feedback. This is another service that is a drop-off paper service. So really kind of cool. You're going to, again, put as much information in there as possible. I can definitely tell you that some of your papers are going to get pretty lengthy. So when you are looking for someone to look at your paper through written feedback, they only have a 12-hour window. So please make sure you're giving as much information as possible, even if you upload a portion of the paper to get an example or some sort of inspiration or motivation that you're doing the right thing, or you just need that confirmation that it's going well. They can do that for you. So just to make sure that they're hitting those points that you want to get answered, make sure you give them as much possible information as you can. And then if we back out of there, perfect. Workshops is the next one. I gave you guys the direct link to our workshop schedule. You can see there are tons, and this is probably just loading up with Teams. When you're in the workshop space,
it's trying.
Yeah, no, Teams is a little glitchy when we have a whole bunch of interactives going on. But as this loads up, you'll just see whatever's available first come in the lineup. If you want to try putting a keyword in, you absolutely can. You can see like right now at this present moment, we've got 3 workshops going on in the moment. You can literally launch right from here and end up in the workshop. You can also book for later. So book now will give you the opportunity to just put it on your schedule. And actually, Melanie, if you can scroll down the page a little bit, it should say previous recordings all the way down on the main page, not the menu itself. Is it there? Nope. We'll go back to the main page and I'll show you guys where they'll end up when you do schedule a recording. So you can hover over the description if you'd like, just like you saw there, and choose what you'd like to watch, whether it's live or at a later date. And then I think we go back up to the menu where resources are. Yep, I'll come back to the recordings in just a minute. So resources is going to take you directly into our database of literally resources. So anything you can think of is here. And if it's not here, please use that suggestion box at the very bottom of the page just to let us know so that we can get our learning support specialist team on the ball making that resource for you. This is a very interactive database. It's quick. There's no lagging. It's really a really fantastic place for you to start your journey if you need something in the moment. As a companion to the other support and services that we offer. So I say bookmark this homepage. It's always going to be in your routine of finding help. And I think I even linked a couple of specific resources for some of our popular ones and some of them that you will probably use in this course and beyond. Some of our most popular one, like the APA Citation Visual Guide. That one is like a top popular, widely used resource. Okay, and then I think if you scroll to the bottom, I wanted to show where it says previous recordings. I think we saw.
I might not have any. I might not have any just because I don't have any previous.
Okay.
Is it showing?
When you Can you hit 24/7 real quick? I think I saw it when you were on that page, just as an example. Up at the top
It's
navigation
coming.
bar.
Let's see. There we go.
Okay.
Previous sessions.
It's being real slow and finicky. But it's real big. There it is. See where it says previous sessions right there? All your sessions, even the 24/7 sessions, will be listed there for you. So not only just those, your recordings, your chat feature sessions, your written feedback, all of it will be together in one place. No need to sign up for anything. Good, good. Okay, and I think that's our little demo. I hope those links came in handy. And I think
That
we're
was
back
awesome.
to
Perfect.
right to the end.
All right. Perfect. Can everybody see my screen again? Teams is being a little
Yeah,
sassy, but
a little finicky
Amy,
today.
that was incredible and amazing. Did
Okay.
you all know that the academic support team had this many resources for y'all? And the really cool thing is everything is literally just a click away. And a lot of the questions that I'm seeing in the chat as Amy was going through her stuff, a lot of this stuff, y'all, I want to remind you that is answered within the module, or things like what font to use, what kind of citation to use. Everything we do in IDS 105 is APA citation, just so you know. That's the formatting, the style you would put it in. But when we talk about like how to format it in the font, all of those details and information are in your assignment overview. But pop quiz, who would be the best person to ask those kinds of questions when we have them? If we're not sure when something is due, if we're not sure how to find an assignment, if we're not sure how long an assignment is supposed to be, pop quiz, somebody tell me. Yes, your professor, A pluses, y'all. Those are the type of questions that if you cannot find it within your module, and I know there's a lot of text and information in there, but if y'all can't find it, that is who you want to reach out to, okay? So I want to run through the classroom space just really quick. Y'all, please tell Amy, thank you so much, because the academic support team has so much for you and your success that is literally a click away. And I know there's a lot of places to click and a lot of places to look at, and it can be kind of overwhelming. But sometimes, y'all, like I said earlier, you got to stop, pause, figure out what it is you really need, take a minute, go through the assignment itself, and then figure out who you need to connect with, what resource you might need to connect with if you're stuck or you have questions, okay? So as always, when you log into your Brightspace class environment, it looks like this, right, y'all? Mine might look just a smidge different because I have faculty access, okay? But what I want to point out is up here at the top, if you click on course menu, and you can see right here, there's announcements. If you click on announcements, it'll have any announcements that your faculty have posted. I know somebody asked earlier about where that was. I want to make sure that I pointed that out. Please make sure that you are reviewing these. It's important. There's a lot of helpful information in there. And for most questions that y'all have or you have right now in the chat, I guarantee that information is in those announcements. Learning modules. This is really important. When you click on learning modules, there's a start here area. When you click on start here, there is a copy of your IDS 105 syllabus. That syllabus has all of your assignments listed, chapters to read, all that kind of fun stuff. And y'all, I did not turn my camera back on because Teams is being a little sassy, and I want to make sure that your connection experience is the best, okay? So I might flip it on later once we get through this, but when I'm sharing Brightspace, I think it just gets a little mean, and I want to make sure that your experience is good. It is always sassy, always. But I wanted to make sure I pointed out this because a lot of students don't realize that your syllabus is right here. And it's kind of like a rule book and an overview of what to expect for IDS 105, okay? Also, as y'all scroll down, there's a lot of information in there. Plus, I want to point out, if you click on this academics community, it'll take you, maybe, Teams will be nice, it'll take you to the IDS 105 learning community. If y'all have not been in there yet, oh good, there it is. It is a specific space outside of your classroom. Nothing is graded in here. You'll see right here, important reminder, nothing in SNHU Connect is graded. But there's all kinds a quick stay on track in your IDS 105 graphic. It goes over all the assignments and what you're doing from week to week. Reminders about live webinar sessions. You'll see that students are asking questions, sharing information. It is a great place to be if y'all have not been in there yet. I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. Okay, let's go underneath that learning modules again. As a reminder too, when you can see, you can click on your grades, right? But we're in module 2. So when you click on module 2, if you just quickly scroll through, you will see you have that warm up. Remember, you click on the blue, gets you where you want to go. You'll be able to begin the quiz. Don't let the word quiz scare you. It's literally an open book quiz. You can take it as many times as you need to. You can use your notes. You can, all the fun things. It's not time, nothing like that. Okay. I wanted to show you that, but I also wanted to show you this 2-2 project draft. This is where you click the blue and you find your project information. But before I dive into that, I want to remind you, click on all pieces and parts of your module. So many of y'all miss the actual content that you can review and read that is within your module. So always click on the introduction, and it's going to be slow. So we're going to come back to that one maybe. But when you do that, it gives you an overview of the assignment, and then you'll have the, turn this, hold on just a second, y'all. I am going to, oh, look, here we go. Yay. Okay. So when the module 2 guide opens up, you're going to see the reading that you want to review within the module. So remember, what was one of the big topics this week? 5 core principles of social justice. Looky here. What they are, a little bit about them. Okay. You're going to see all that kind of content in here. So I wanted to make sure that I showed you that. The other thing I wanted to show you is if you are ever using information that is not your own, or you are utilizing any kind of artificial intelligence, you must cite your sources. We use APA here in IDS 105. If you're stuck on how to do that, not sure on how to do that, we have an amazing citing your sources guide underneath the Shapiro library. Okay. Right here is where you can click to get to Amy's wonderful menu of support, everything we just discussed about academic support. But I also wanted to pull up this help area. If you click on that little arrow and click on online student services, it pulls up every single department here at the university. It shows you how to access them. Everybody has a phone number. Everybody has an email address. Okay. I saw a note in the chat about, is the quiz or warm up optional this week? No, it is not. It is a graded assignment. And if you miss it, you will get a 0. So remember, graded assignments this week, project draft and warm up, both due by Sunday or before for your schedule. But when you go to this resources page, you'll find the bookstore, you'll find academic support, the library, everybody's here. But down towards the bottom is this Office 365 and other software. If you click on the blue and follow the prompts, if you do not have Microsoft Word or something compatible, you do get Microsoft Office 365 for free as an SNH2 student. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I showed you that. That way you know that you can have that. So let's navigate ourselves back to that lovely project draft under Module 2. And when you go there, remember, warm up is graded this week. It's graded this week. And then you have that project draft. Click on guidelines and rubric. It's going to pull up an overview of the assignment. So what I want to point out for y'all is there's an overview, and then it literally breaks down exactly what you're doing. This is the part that a lot of students tend to just skip right over or scroll through it. So make sure you pause, take a minute, and really review it. Yes, y'all, that quiz is graded. It's a graded assignment this week. So when you go through the questions, what I wanted to show you is, do you see right here under what to submit? It says project template. And then under supporting materials, if you click on project scenarios, that is where those project scenarios that we talked about in this presentation are listed all in one spot. Okay. So if you need to go back and kind of review those scenarios before you pick them, this is where they are. Okay. Does everybody see that? I wanted to make sure I showed you that. If as the term progresses and you're going from week to week, if you need a refresher on those scenarios, if you didn't create your own, you have to come back to module 2 because that's the only place that you will find that document. Okay, so just remember, like if you get to week 4 and you're working on the part 3 part for module 4 and you're like, wait a minute, I need to double check that scenario. It's underneath module 2. Okay, I just want to make sure I pointed that out because students will be like, wait, where'd that go? Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you, when you click on project template, it is going to open up a Microsoft Word document that looks like this. Okay, this is why it's important for you to have Microsoft Word. Now, when you open it, there may be a little yellow button at the top that says enable editing. That allows you to type directly in the document. These highlights are mine. Your documents, when you open them, will not have highlights, okay? This is just an easy way for me to show you that there's different sections you will complete in different modules, all right? So like I said, when you open it up, look, it says right here, remove this note before you submit your paper. Look, oh, goodbye, there it went. Key number 1, choose your scenario. So if you picked workplace, personal, or school, you will just put that right here, okay? If you created your own, you need all details, the who, the what, the when, the where, all the information we talked about typed right here so that your instructor can review it and make sure that you have all the pieces and parts as you're answering your questions. Remember, you don't have to have it pre-approved. You can just put what your concept is in there, make sure you got everything, and your faculty will let you know if you don't have it, okay? So the other next thing is we are answering which part for this week? Part 1, correct? It says right here, complete this section in module 2. So you will answer the questions literally right under here. So you are explaining the difference between justice, fairness, and equality as they apply in your scenario, blah, blah, blah. You guys know it, right? So right here, look, this is where you type, okay? You will notice part 2, it says right here, complete this section in module 3. Part 3, complete this section in module 4. Part 4, complete this section in module 5. We are not touching these yet, okay? Now, I saw questions in the chat. Can we work ahead? Yes, you can work ahead as convenient for your schedule. However, I always encourage students to check in with your instructor regarding working ahead because often there might be tips for success or different requirements you have to meet. And if you get too far ahead, you might miss something and have to potentially redo an assignment. So I just want to put that out there for you. But if you want to work ahead, you can. However, I don't necessarily encourage students to dive in and complete this entire project in all sections because inevitably any student I've had do that, they've had to redo something. Okay, so just think about that because we haven't gotten to the concepts yet. So you haven't like read everything yet unless you've gone through the whole course, right? So start with this section. Start with part 1. Answer the questions, what you're looking for, complete sentences, details, examples. See how it's graded, make sure you're on the right track, and then that helps you proceed for the next weeks. Okay, does that make sense, y'all? Does that help? So the other thing I wanted to point out too with this template is when you have completed all of the template, so all parts, it will be about 3 to 5 pages. I saw that in the question in the chat. This part 1, it'll maybe be about a page or a little bit over. Like it just depends on how, for some of you, you need to give a lot of detail to fully express your thoughts. Some of you can get right to the point and it gets the whole answer out. So it just depends on your writing and your writing style. The key is to answer the questions, use details, use examples, tie in the concept so everybody can understand it, okay? I also see the questions. Do we need to separate this document? No, you do not. If your little heart would like to, you 100% can, okay? But you do not have to. You can literally use it this week, answer all your questions, submit it. Next week, you're going to pop open part 2, answer the questions. You'll have part 1 and part 2 filled out, submit it, okay? Does that make sense? But if you want to separate it, you can. However, know when you get to the end of the term, when you turn in your final project, it has to all be back in one document. Okay, does that help y'all? Does that help answer that question? Again, questions about working ahead, y'all get with your faculty. That is the best person to answer that question and support your decision and give you any tidbits of information they might want you to think about, okay? Always start with your faculty, okay? So that is the template. I just want to make sure that I showed you all that. I want to just make sure really quick too that I just remind you that there's a lot of information that is within your actual module. There is a lot of pieces in here, so please make sure that you're reviewing that. Did this help? As a reminder, I want to remind you, know how you're graded, use that rubric. So right down here is that rubric, y'all. This tells you how you're going to be graded. So what I like to tell students is once they write up their draft for this part 1, I always encourage y'all to get it to academic support. The reason I say that is because you know your writing, where maybe you're good, maybe where you struggle, or maybe you're like, I'm not sure if this is right. That's okay. That's why I'm here. So you can put together your written draft and you can upload it and select and be specific the areas that you want your tutor to focus on. They'll give you feedback, and then you can have everything ready to go. I see a question in the chat about, can the advisor review it? Your advisor could. However, y'all, that's not their wheelhouse. They may not have time to do that because they're supporting all kinds of students, but they may. You can always ask. But I feel like the best resources for reviewing papers or writing assignments is always going to be academic support. Does that make sense? But what I want to say about this rubric is when you're done, you can kind of look at the rubric and then look at your writing and be like, hey, did I answer this? Did I do this right? Okay, you can kind of grade yourself. That's one of the biggest things that's out there. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that I showed you that. And then the other thing is to trust and use that template. Again, if you don't love the template and you want to create your own document, that's 100% fine. Just make sure you have all pieces and parts, okay? Remember to use your resources. Always start with your instructor. If you're stuck on something, you can always ask your advisor too. The academic support team is absolutely wonderful and so helpful. Students tell me all of the time that they wish they would have used them earlier in the term because it really helps them just feel more confident about submitting their writing assignments, especially if you haven't written academically ever or it's been a long time. Okay. The other thing is be yourself when you're writing this. Pick the scenario that closely aligns with you or the one that you enjoy and want to talk about all term. And like I said, the scenarios are pretty generic, right? So if you are trying to tie a concept in or answer a question, and you don't feel like the details are there, create them. Make it make sense, okay? Does that help everybody? Remember, complete sentences, use details, use examples, and then of course, loop in your instructor if you have any questions or if you're stuck or need anything, okay? Just as a quick reminder, I'm gonna flip my camera on real quick. Hey friends. Week 2, you have a warm-up due by Sunday or before as convenient for your schedule. You can take it as many times as you need to. It auto grades. You're going to see that grade right away. And then you have your project draft. Remember, you're only doing part 1 this week. Start with part 1. You're going to pick your scenario. You're going to use the same scenario for the entire project. So pick your scenario, answer the questions. I always encourage to work with academic support. See how it all goes. Remember, your faculty is not going to grade it right away. You know, once you get it turned in, they have 7 days from Sunday to Sunday to grade. So don't panic. But if you have questions about it, reach out to your instructor. That is the best person for you to start with. Okay. Remember, you need to have that Microsoft Word or something compatible. You do get Office 365 for free. No video notes for any pieces or parts of this project or the final project. Okay. And remember that the project draft is just due by Sunday or before. And reach out if you get stuck. Okay, y'all, that is all that I have. I wanted to just take a quick minute. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here real fast. I wanted to take just a quick minute and see if there was any questions that I might have missed. I see a few questions about, is this recorded? Absolutely. I actually just stopped the recording. Or I'm sorry, I haven't stopped it yet. I will here in just a second. But this is recorded. I will have it downloaded and uploaded here. Usually I have it up within less than 24 hours. But those links of where to find it is right here. You want to go to the webinar recording link and just look for week 2. Okay, so I just popped that in the chat for y'all. That is where you can find that. Again, our assignments for week 2, module 2, you can always find your list of assignments in your course syllabus. For IDS 105 for week 2, there is no discussion. You only have a warm-up and you have your project draft, okay? If you're not sure if you have Microsoft Word or something compatible, you will want to check your own system and then loop in IT, shall you need them. And this entire session is recorded, so you can go back and watch it as many times as you need to. I think I got other questions. Oh, I see a question about how to reach your instructor. Email is always best. But if you look underneath your My Instructor announcement in the announcement section, You might have faculty that text message or, have a phone number for you to call. Everybody's just a little bit different. But you can always reach out to them. I always say that email is best. If you're not sure who your instructor is, you can find out your instructor's information by clicking on My Instructor in your classroom space. Remember, academic support is super helpful. They will get feedback to you if you use written feedback within 12 hours. And I think that's it. Y'all, was this helpful? Did it help go through stuff and everybody feels comfortable? A lot better. Sweet. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad that this helps. I think it's really good for you guys to know how to use those different resources that academic support offers. And sometimes it's just kind of nice to have somebody kind of walk you through the assignment. But remember, if you have questions specifically on how you are going to do your assignment, or maybe you're creating your own scenario, or you want to know more about what you are specifically turning in to your faculty, please get with your faculty, because they are the best person to answer those questions, because they're the ones that are grading you, okay? As a reminder, that warm up, you can take as many times as possible. Do Sunday or before is convenient for your schedule. And then that project draft is the only other assignment for this week, and it's due Sunday or before. There is not a discussion assignment this week, okay? All right, y'all, that's all I got. You are going to be fabulous. Use your resources. Remember, you got this. Have an amazing week 2, y'all, and I'll see you in week 3.